I am here today to do a LCD repair on my Lenovo G780. This is coming to you from laptopscreen.com. I'll now walk you through the procedure of replacing the LCD laptop. As you can see, I have a few tools here to do the process and something to keep my screws in. As with any repairs, you need to unplug the laptop and also make sure to replace the battery, or remove the battery, sorry. Now that we have removed all power sources, we will start to remove the bezel of the laptop. To do this, I use a small flathead screwdriver. There will be two small black covers here covering two screws on the Lenovo G780. Just little stickers. Get in behind them, pop them off. There's one. And two. Now for most of this process, all you need is a small Phillips head screwdriver. To ease removal of these two small Phillips head screwdrivers, tilt the screen back as far as possible. Now I will remove these two screws. A magnetic screwdriver always helps. Now from here, those are the only two screws to hold the whole bezel into place. From here on, we'll unsnap the whole bezel all the way around. It is easiest to use a larger flathead screwdriver or a small putty knife or something that's very thin, and it's recommended to start at one of the top corners. Sometimes I use a nail or something smaller just to spread it apart, and then just gradually pry away from it, and it'll just gradually snap off. And don't worry, they sound like they're breaking and whatnot, but really they're not. They're meant to do this. They're just small little clips. You can turn it once you've got the top off. Sometimes getting around the corners can be a little bit more difficult, but they will all pop off. And then once again to the other side. Continue to pry them off until they're completely unseated. Supported, as it is very flimsy, you don't want it to break in half. At this point I find it's easiest to push the screen all the way back, because these clips can be a little bit harder to pop off. And I find the easiest way to pop the bottom off is tilt this forward a little bit, get a little bit of pressure behind here, and it'll pop most of it off, just like so. Then you can just lift it out and set your bezel aside. At this point, we are going to remove these four screws here. We've got 1, 2, 3, and 4. We'll remove those to release the backplate from the LCD monitor. That's one. and 2. Three. And the fourth one up here, I always like finishing at the top so I can support the back plate, as it will fall if you don't have a hold of it. Now just gradually lower it down and pull your LCD back up to release it. And now it is off. And you can just let it sit flat on the back, as you can see. Now the next process is to remove the LCD itself from the bracket. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4 screws on this side and 4 on the other side. All once again with small Phillips screws. Now before I take the fourth one out, I like switching over so it's still attached. Do the other side. Continue on with the second, third, and then we'll have 2 left. But what I do just before this, you can actually do it before, is tilt this down, and you have a connector here that connects this cable to the back panel. Before you take the LCD off, you would like to have it on. Now, usually there's a plastic tab here that seals it on here. And there's also some glue. And I tend to, if you just gradually peel it up, keeping pressure on it, the adhesive will release, and then so will the band as you pull it out. Just a little bit more adhesive, and it's off. You can just set it aside. That way the LCD panel can come off without a problem. So I will lift my bracket back up, and I will take out my last couple screws. And that's how easy it comes out. Luckily this is my broken one, so it is not going to harm it. There. So we now have removed the broken panel. I will set it aside and prep our new one for placing it in. What I'm going to do is bend our bars back down, and I'm going to actually place my LCD on top of this, that way it won't fall out. The new LCD will come usually very well packaged. Mine was in 2 double bubblers plus this blue plastic plus another layer on here. Now some of them come wrapped a little bit differently. This one I like because it's taped on 2 sides, just here and here, so I will leave the plastic on while I fasten it in. That way, as you can see, the 4 screws are still shown. Make sure it's placed properly, and I will just set it in here so the keyboard itself will actually support it while I get a couple screws in it. I just got it set lightly in there. You just have to get your holes lined up, which shouldn't take too much at all. There's one. And they don't get tightened very much, just a just a snug. You don't want to strip these small screws, or then you could have many more problems. Some of these screws, there we go. Just don't like getting seated in properly. That's 2. 3. There's a lot of people out there that like using electric screwdrivers. I am not one of them because you can't tell how much you're tightening them. I find it's not a very long process, so I don't need to speed it up and rush it in too much of a fashion. Got one side done, and now complete this side. I'm hoping the visuals on my video are suitable enough that everybody can see them. I apologize if I get in the way, because I only have myself, nobody to videotape this for me. Just gotta get these lined up properly. Sometimes you gotta give them a light lift. I think I will just get something under here. Maybe I will start from this end where I can hold it up. Sometimes they can be a little tricky to line up. There we are. I had to lift the actual bracket up a little bit to meet it. There's one. Get the end one in here. The end one's not wanting to line up very well, so I'll go to here, get these ones lined up, and then hopefully that fourth one will line up on its own. There's the second one. And I dropped a screw. Quick recovery. And we'll place this one in. It's number 3. Number 4. Got to make sure you get the right screws. These ones are just the tiny little black ones. There we are. So the LCD just needs to be lifted up just a tiny bit. There we are. So we now have the LCD completely screwed back into the brackets. So now we're basically just reversing everything we've already did. So with these clips, you have to make sure it's seated in properly. So I find it lift the plastic tab here just a little, just so I can see the hook. Just get it lined up properly. As long as you're lined up properly, then you can usually just pull the plastic and it'll pop right back in. I apologize if you can't see it. I can give you a little bit of a closer view here. Of that connection. Right. There you are. And it just slips in right here. hoping your viewing angle is still fine there. So now that we've got that seated back in, I'm just going to make sure we're completely sealed in there because we don't want to have to take it back apart. There. Stick that adhesive back down there and this adhesive as well. Now, the next process is to refasten it back to our back panel. Now, as you can see, some of these wires tend to come out. They're for different antennas and cameras and whatnot. So I find you just sort of have to clip them back in there into the grooves, which you can also do after it's seated back on. At this point, I like laying the cover back down over top of everything. And I've actually had a clip fall out on me. If I will lift this up now. I shouldn't have to replace this clip before I put it back on. These clips actually just sit in behind here. There's just a couple plastic clips that they sit on. All they are is covers for the wires, but you need to keep them on there. There. It's back on there now. So like I said, I like sitting this back on top to get everything lined back up. I will lift these up. The LCD just snaps back into the back panel, top and bottom, like so. And then before I go popping more of the wires back in, I like getting these screws back in so the LCD can't fall out of anything. We're just replacing these 4 screws again. There's 1. And 2. Third one down here till the back, just to give you a little bit more room. So there's a little pressure on the back of the LCD panel, helps a little bit for these ones. Snug there. One more down here. Now at this point, like I said, I like just clipping these back in if they've fallen out. That way they're not going to be in our way when we go to put our bezel back on. You may not have this problem. Mine just, I guess, seem to be loose at this moment. Now, the rest of these wires that are in here must stay up out of the way so they're not going to be pinched. Look at that, mine popped out again. There, that one's back in, and the same thing applies to the LCD cable that is on the back. It will usually pop out of its brackets, which is just a few here. But you want to make sure pop back into their respective slots. one. There we go. We just got a couple more here. One there. One more here. There. Actually, we got one more there. There. They're all seated back in there. Almost. There. At this point, we can then remove our tape that holds our protective cover, as once we put our bezel on, it'll be hard to get off. Set that aside, grab our bezel, and once again slide your screen back as far as possible so your bezel can clip in properly. You get it seated down at the bottom, and then go ahead and clip it all the way around. Always leave the easy part for last. Slip our bezel back on, make sure it's snapped back into place everywhere. Sometimes the bottom will take a little bit more popping back in. That basically does it. And we replace our final two screws. Now I find with these ones, because the angle is a little bit off here, I find I like setting them inside the holes first, instead of putting them on the end of my screwdriver. There we are. And then go ahead and screw them in. Just snug them up lightly. As you heard, my bottom corner snapped in as soon as that screwed in. We're almost done. They're all snapped back in. You're going to go ahead and replace your black tabs we took off previously. And two. Sometimes they'll stick, sometimes they won't. Now at this point we will flip it back over, slide our battery in, plug it back for your power in if needed. Mine hasn't been running in a little while, so I figure I'll plug it in and we'll give it a start up. And voila, we have a repaired LCD screen for a Lenovo G780. I apologize for the length of the video, but I'm hoping this video will help, and be sure to check it out at laptopscreen.com.